travel and everything. So I
Full
can.
smoke.
You sure? I can do that policy after.
If you want, I mean,
Yeah, I'd love to.
you know, help. Thank you. So I'll just carry on with the
Yeah,
cleaning
yeah,
and,
no.
yeah, the trade's already made up.
Alright.
All right,
Thank you, Prabhu. Very well.
That's all. Yeah, just put
There's too much time here. You should get the other drums, Rita. No, it's okay.
Yeah, sure. That's all right. Got it? Yeah.
I need a blessing. Hold on, I need a blessing. I need all the blessings I can get.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll take all the blessings. Thank you.
This is a special hat. That we keep. It's from the love, it's from the altar. And that's a little shoe. So special. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama
We
Rama
were doing this.
No, we're not doing these. I'm not listening. No, no.
You need to sing off first. But maybe it's not the difference is not so easy to see. There are so many.
Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Can I try? We'll try to sing.
Now Sri Bhagavad Gita class will start.
What time?
It's 6 now.
5 minutes. You can
Next time. No, not anymore. Don't be here anymore.
You're leaving.
Huh?
You're leaving.
I'm not leaving, I'm leaving the city now. But it's fine, next time we'll come back.
After Kerala.
Yeah, next time.
But these are really huge. Just a second. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava
Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokura Nanda, Radha Gokura Nanda, Radha Gokura Nanda, Shri Radha. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jayo Goranitai, 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 Jayo Goranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Shira Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we start a new chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So every day we read one verse, yeah? And today is the first verse of chapter 12. So 12, 1. Oh, you can have a copy. There are many copies there, no? Okay, so are you are ready, yeah? Okay, so we will first read the Sanskrit. Arjuna Uvacha Evam Satata Yukta Ye Bhaktas Tvam Paryupasate Ye Chapi Aksharam Avyaktam Tesham Ke Yoga Vitamaha. Do you want to try? Arjuna Uvacha Evam Satata Yuktaye Bhaktastvam Parupasate Ye Chapi Aksharam Avyaktam Tesham Ke Yoga Vitamaha. Oh, anyone else? After. No, it's okay. Arjuna Uvacha Evam Satata Yuktaye Bhaktastvam Parupasate Ye Chapi Aksharam Avyaktam Tesham Ke Yoga Vitamaha. Arjuna Uvacha Ye chapi aksharam avyaktam. Desham ke yoga vitamaha. So, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? So, the purport is very long, so maybe we can do first the prayer. Yeah. So the Om Jnana Tirimandasya Jnana Sarakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopecha Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchara Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishavanu Sute Devi Paranami Hari Priye Vancha Karpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I propose that we read each one paragraph because it's a bit long purport. What do you think? Whoever wants to start. Take the mic. Oh. Yeah, Krishna has now explained. Also, maybe I will first read again the translation, okay? Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? So, okay, so who understands this question? So Arjuna is asking a question to Krishna. Can you say it in your own words? What is the question?
I think it means, who do we consider to be more pure devotees? Those who are always chanting and always doing all the right things, or those who are just kind of doing their own thing but living by the principles?
It's more like how do we worship Krishna? So because the impersonal, those who worship the impersonal Brahman, they can also do it perfectly. It's just about, is it better to worship, so he's asking Krishna, is it better to worship you personally or to worship your impersonal form? Because Krishna has both the impersonal, God has an impersonal feature and a personal feature, which is where we are focusing here. Just to give a context, maybe before we read the purport, because it's long. So this is so this part of the Gita. So there are like broadly 3 parts in the Gita. The first is Krishna is presenting different types of yoga. So he's like, you can do this. There are many ways to realize yourself, to realize that you are the soul, and so on. And then in the middle of the Gita, the second part, Krishna is glorifying devotional service. He's saying devotion is the best. So out of all these types of yoga, Bhakti yoga is the best. And he's explaining why and so on. But when this chapter is called devotional service, so it's really like let's say the culmination of this section. But in chapter 11, we saw that Krishna showed the universal form to Arjuna, but this universal form is not very, let's say, it's not a form where you can like enter into a relationship with Krishna. It's quite, in a sense, it's impersonal. Let's say it's like it's scary. It's a very, it's a huge. It's so many legs and arms, and so Arjuna was quite scared when he saw this form. And then after he asked Krishna, please show me again your two-armed form. So this form that we have here, yeah. So please show your human form again. And Krishna did so. So Arjuna was very happy. And this is the point where Arjuna is asking Krishna, so what is better, to worship you in personally as a person, or like the impersonal, like some kind of bigger energy, universal energy. And okay, so thank you. So now we can start reading. Thank you.
It says, Krishna has now explained about the personal, the impersonal, and the universal, and has described all kinds of devotees and yogis.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's not. Oh, but maybe it's not. Oh.
Krishna has now explained about the personal, the impersonal, and the universal, and has described all kinds of devotees and yogis. Generally, the transcendentalist can be divided into two classes. One is the impersonalist, and the other is the personalist. The personalist devotee engages himself with all energy in the service of the Supreme Lord. The impersonalist also engages himself, not directly in the service of Krishna, but in meditation on the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested.
You want to read the next also? You can.
We find in this chapter that of the different processes for realization of the absolute truth, bhakti yoga, devotional service is the highest. If one at all desires to have the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he must take to devotional service. Those who worship the Supreme Lord directly by devotional service are called personalists. Those who engage themselves in meditation on the impersonal Brahman are called impersonalists. Arjuna is here questioning which position is better. There are different ways to realize the absolute truth, but Krishna indicates in this chapter that bhakti yoga, or devotional service to him, is the highest of all. It is the most direct, and it is the easiest means for association with the Godhead.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to read? Yeah.
In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Lord explained that the living entity is not the material body. He is a spiritual spark, and the absolute truth is the spiritual whole. In the seventh chapter, he spoke of the living entity as being part and parcel of the Supreme Whole, and recommended that he transfer his attention fully to the whole. Then again, in the eighth chapter, it was said that anyone who thinks of Krishna at the time of quitting his body is at once transferred to the spiritual sky, to the abode of Krishna. And at the end of the sixth chapter, the Lord clearly said that of all yogis, one who always thinks of Krishna within himself is considered the most perfect. So in practically every chapter, the conclusion has been that one should be attached to the personal form of Krishna, for that is the highest spiritual realization. Shall I carry on? Yeah. Nevertheless, there are those who are not attached to the personal form of Krishna. They are so firmly detached that even in the preparation of commentaries to Bhagavad Gita, they want to distract other people from Krishna and transfer all devotion to the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. They prefer to meditate on the impersonal form of the Absolute Truth, which is beyond the reach of the senses and is not manifest.
And so, factually, there are two classes of transcendentalists. Now, Arjuna is trying to settle the question of which process is easier and which of the classes is most perfect. In other words, he is clarifying his own position because he is attached to the personal form of Krishna. He is not attached to the impersonal Brahman. He wants to know whether his position is secure. The impersonal manifestation, either in this material world or in the spiritual world of the Supreme Lord, is a problem of meditation. Actually, one cannot perfectly conceive of the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. Therefore, Arjuna wants to say, what is the use of such a waste of time? Arjuna experienced in the 11th chapter that to be attached to the personal form of Krishna is best because he could thus understand all other forms at the same time, and there was no disturbance to his love for Krishna. This important question asked for Krishna by Arjuna will clarify the distinction between the impersonal and personal conceptions of the absolute truth.
Right, thank you. So, can you say something that you remembered about the purport? Like, I don't know. I mean, we don't have to do this. It's just if something strikes you more. No, it's okay. Oh. Yeah.
I remember Srila Prabhupada said that if we want to develop the relationship with the Supreme Lord, we have to perform devotional service. There's no other way to develop relationship with Him as a person.
Absolutely, yeah, it's the only way. Yeah, and so let me just openly ask the question. So what would you answer to Arjuna? What is better, again, according to you? Yeah, but is there any time, sometimes, that you had a doubt about it? What makes you doubt that it's the best? Is there because we are building our faith, right? So it's a process. So sometimes we can have doubt. It's very okay. And are there some times where you're feeling like, oh, but maybe this impersonal feature, maybe it's better? Or is there any? Or you're all sure 100% that God is a person and that's where I want to put my energy? Or yeah, maybe Holly, yeah. You can.
I would maybe say that through impersonalist method, like the heart, and so they're still like maybe like a personal relationship, but not with a form.
Can you put the mic like this?
Yeah, and many other people use devotional service, but to many other different forms of God as well. So these are doubts in my mind, that this is like the best way and the only way.
So you're saying that the one who worships the impersonal form of God can still have a connection with God within his heart, like he can still in his way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So I mean, to answer about this, for sure, he knows that he has realized that he is the soul and he's not the body. That's for sure. So this is in common between the Bhakti yogi and the. So actually, I've summarized a bit all the differences. Do you see? You don't see? Yes. You see? Okay. I cannot see, sorry. Okay, so basic. So Bhakti means devotion, right? So it's service to Krishna. And actually, this what is in this verse? So to worship the impersonal Brahman. Actually, that's what is the Ashtanga yogi doing? Ashtanga yoga or Jnana yoga? Both these types of yogis. That's why I wrote Jnana or Ashtanga, and they are worshiping. Actually, God has three features. I mean, in the Gita it's written like this, and there is this analogy of the sun. And Krishna, so Bhagavan, so that's the personal form of Krishna, is like the sun itself, and the surface is called Paramatma, it's the super soul, and it's this that we within us we all have this part of it, like we are all part of God in a way. So we have this spiritual spark. I think it was mentioned in the purpose. So this is one aspect of God. So it's the surface of the sun, and the rays are this impersonal aspect of the impersonal Brahman. And so it means that from this analogy, that the impersonal Brahman is kind of the most superficial, like way to see God. It's the most, it's the the least intimate one, and the most intimate, the most like in the center, in the core, is Krishna, is the personal form. So that's like from this philosophy, yeah, from Bhagavad Gita, it's described like this. And now we can go through these differences together, and then we can discuss again your point. But it was very good. Thank you very much. It's really interesting. Yeah. They have. So we said we mentioned one point in common that they have in common is that they realize that they are not this body and they are the soul. Yeah, so that's what they have in common. So, but here we want to discuss the differences. So, first of all, they have different goals actually. So, here I wrote that the goal of the devotee is to please Krishna with his love. Actually, it's the love. So you know how in the morning program we always say in the end we recite these 10 offenses, and then we say like if we want to, we have to. Be careful to not commit these 10 offenses if we want to achieve Krishna prema. Prema means love, like, but it's real love. It's not like love like in the love stories or something. It's something transcendental that we don't even really understand completely actually until we experience it. We can understand theoretically, we can experience a little bit here and there, but yeah, we are not yet there. But so this is his goal. And Jnana or Ashtanga yogi, he just wants peace actually. Because they both we know that this life, this material life is miserable, it's difficult, the body, and so he wants peace. He wants to be liberated. So it's in a way it's a bit. So the devotee is like kind of selfless. Like at least the pure devotee, he really. He's in love with God and he wants to please Him. You know, it's really this different relationship. And Ashtanga yogi or the Jnana yogi, he's more doing it for himself, let's say, and he just wants to attain peace and liberation. And also their object of worship, so the way they worship God, the way they see God is different. As I said, God has both impersonal and personal features, so it's both. We're not saying that, you know, God is only personal or God is only impersonal. That's not the question. Is where do you put your focus? So basically, the devotee, he puts his focus on the personal form of Krishna, and he worships a beautiful form that it's called Syama Sundara. It means beautiful form. So it's Krishna with two arms, and it's exactly the form that we have here on the altar. He's beautiful. So it's not something neutral even. It's really he's opulent. He has all the opulences. And Jnana yogi, Ashtanga yogi. So here in the verse. In Sanskrit, it's avyaktam, so that means unmanifested. It means that you cannot perceive it with your senses. Like there's just nothing to perceive because it's just, or what if we were to describe it, it's just light. Like it's like an effulgence, like just light, you know. So it's not tangible at all. At least we, of course, okay, Krishna is not in front of us, like really. But we have the deity, we have many tangible ways to worship him, the tulsi, you know, and you know, from the smell, from the from the sound vibration. So there are many ways to perceive with our senses, to perceive God here in the temple. But the Ashtanga yogi, he's like, I don't need my senses. I just want to meditate on the effulgence. Like, this is it. And so yeah, and so then the process is also different, right? So if we want to worship God as a person, so as Amrita said exactly, like there's an exchange, there's a personal exchange, there's a reciprocation. So if you will try to please Krishna, then Krishna will be pleased, like he has feelings actually, and you'll see that there is some things will happen in your life. You will feel some things in your heart, like, you try to, I don't know, like just now, for example, I was trying to prepare the class and share something useful to you, so I was just trying, and then this morning at 7 in the kirtan, I just felt so happy, like so much joy, and I think this is, but it's not always every morning, Sometimes I feel like, it's like there is like, of course I'm always happy to be with devotees, but there are some days where we feel more like ecstatic. We just definitely feel more something more in our heart, and this is how I think we can say that Krishna. This is how he's like expressing his feelings through us, So it's very dynamic. Every day you feel a bit different, and so. But the Ashtanga yogi, he's not interested in having a relationship with God. He just wants to, for him what matters is only that he is, he's part of God, so like as we said, the Paramatma, the spiritual spark, and he just wants to, for him going back to God means just merging into this light, this like, so he wants to sacrifice his individuality actually. He doesn't want for him it's not him and God, it's like we are all part of God, so let's just merge into the Brahman. And we see, for example, my mother is Japanese and she's Buddhist, so I go to Buddhist temples sometimes with her. And in the Buddhist temples, it's completely different, the atmosphere, First of all, it's very simple. There's not so much. The altar is also opulent, but the monks are. They all. Here also they're dressed the same, but in Buddhist temples, it's really, really more like really like a uniform. You are really dressed all the same color, everything the same. Also, women are also dressed the same as men, like they shave their head and stuff. And it's when they chant, so they also chant mantras, but it's very there's not much melody. Of course, it's musical. Of course, there's like rhythm to it, but there are no, we have so many different tunes. It's so fun, it's very different, and we express our emotions, isn't it? Like and the Buddhists, they don't. There are no emotions involved. Actually, emotions are more perceived as a weakness by them, and it's like their goal is like it's like peace, peace and empty the mind. And it's really like this. Like I practice some meditation, Zen Buddhism actually, especially is like this. That they just told us like, okay, you face the wall now, and you close your eyes, and you just try to empty your mind. To be honest, it was the most difficult thing ever. It was the contrary effect, I had so many thoughts in my mind that it was completely impossible. And I must say, at least with chanting the Mahamantra, at least, you have something to listen to. Yeah, you can listen to the mantra. And you can also chant with your feelings, actually. Like, you can pray to Krishna, you can be great. You can feel gratefulness, like, oh, I'm so grateful today, or oh, I feel so sad. Please help me. Oh, it's okay. This is okay, and it's actually quite helpful. We will see later. So it's very different forms of ways to meditate. And then, yeah, so I just already mentioned, but yeah, the bhakti, we engage our senses. Senses are actually not seen as an obstacle. The only obstacle is lust, yeah? It's like when we use our senses to enjoy, like, for us ourselves. This is a problem. But senses in themselves, they are okay. There's no problem with the senses. Actually, senses are a great instrument for us to perceive, to engage in a relationship with Krishna. So, yeah, so the impersonalists, they want to withdraw from the senses as much as possible. So in Ashtanga Yoga, there's one stage which is called Pratyahara, and that really means withdrawal of the senses. So it's really like important for them. And yeah, and as I said, in Bhakti, it's very there are different stages in devotion, and one of them it's called. So there is the taste, and then there is attachment. So you're supposed to really become attached to Krishna. It's okay to be attached. So I was before coming to Krishna consciousness. I was always curious about spiritual life, and you know how many, especially impersonalist philosophies, they view attachment as something really negative, like it's dangerous to be attached. We see, in our relationships with family, friends, if we get attached to the person, it's sometimes it can lead to conflicts with the person. So detachment, we have to be detached. This is what we hear a lot. But in Krishna consciousness, it's actually so we tend to have the need for attachment. Like from our very childhood, like we are attached to the mother. So this is our nature actually. Bhakti is saying, okay, so it's your nature and it's fine because you are a child of Krishna. So yes, get attached to Krishna. So just it's okay. So it's very okay to get attached to Krishna and to the devotees. Yeah, and then so that's why I mentioned this thing that we see that it's natural for us to feel emotions, the senses. It's natural. So Bhakti says there's nothing you don't have to go against it. Just use that, but directly towards Krishna, not towards even being attached to your family or your friends. That's not gonna be very healthy for this relationship. But if you put Krishna in the middle of all your relationships, so you get attached to Krishna, and for example, you want to develop friendships with devotees to serve better, or even in the marriage, we see that if you put Krishna in the middle, then the relationship is more stable and it's more satisfying and peaceful. Actually, peaceful. So because it's natural, Prabhupada always repeats it's easy. It's easier than impersonalist path, which is actually Prabhupada is using the word artificial. It's artificial to withdraw your senses and your emotions, and that's why it's difficult. It's really difficult. So the result is also different for both paths. So as I said, so there is the sun. So the Bhakti yogi, he realizes really the center, the core, which is Bhagavan. So he realizes God as a person, and thus his liberation. He becomes liberated, and his liberation is eternal and complete because so there is this phrase Sachit Ananda. So our soul, and Krishna. So God, the soul, is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. So this is the nature of our soul. So we are, our soul is like this. And then we see that in material life, of course, it's not always like this. We have envy, we have lust, we get angry, and we judge others and so on. So of course we see that it's not the case in practice, but we should not forget that this is our nature, like, the soul, and we just have forgotten. This is just that we have forgotten. And our process here, the Bhakti Yoga, is to remember this, like to learn it again. So that's why it's complete, because we completely realize this Satchidananda Ananda, and there is bliss. It's blissful. It's joyful. It's fun to be together. We sing together. So there is a pleasure. There is pleasure involved. But in the impersonalist path, so of course they realize God in the impersonal aspect. But Prabhupada insists that, also Krishna writes that it's just a temporary liberation. So they will attain some peace, but it's temporary. They might fall down again. And Prabhupada explains also that it's because they're not. I mean, he writes that they are not really happy. I will quote. I will quote some Prabhupada. So the impersonalist therefore cannot enjoy life due to his artificial renunciation, and for this reason a slight agitation of the mind pulls him down again into the pool of material existence. So he can fall down again due to his not having support in devotional service. So it's like it's risky. And it's not complete. Prabhupada says that with impersonal realization, you have Satchit only. You have the eternal and full of knowledge part, but you are missing the blissful part. You are missing the bliss. I mean, maybe you may have some different ideas, but it's. If I go back to my example about the Buddhist monks. Of course, actually, there are monks who look like very happy and they smile, but some of them they don't smile. It's just for sure. What we can say is that they don't have this. Pleasure is considered an obstacle, like feeling pleasure, expressing emotions, laughing. That doesn't happen much in the Buddhist monasteries, It's very like calm and sometimes it feels like it's very austere in a way. So Prabhupada says this is artificial. It's not really you. You're just in a way you're playing a role and you might fall down. So this is the, let's say, a summary. And now we have like a bit less than 15 minutes to discuss. I would like to know, like, what do you think about this? Are there some doubts, and do you have like examples to illustrate? Or where do you have your mic?
Thank you so much for a very interesting class and nice examples from your life, your own realizations. That was nice to hear. And I was just reflecting, like you asked at the beginning, why would we sometimes consider that, maybe this impersonal path is better? Why? Which is not, of course, but I think one of the things, maybe it's easier in that sense that when you are taking to the impersonal path, you don't have to really think about. It's quite easy in that sense because relationships are different. Our relationships are difficult. We can see that, in our own lives, that it's not so easy to cultivate relationships. You have to change yourself. You have to adjust your behavior. You have to learn about the other person, what they like, what they don't like, and you have to adjust if you want successful relationship. And similarly with our relationship with Krishna, that's why we are studying Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, to learn what Krishna likes, what he doesn't like. And when we start acting according to his desire, then only can we develop relationship with him. And like you said, he will reciprocate. So in that sense, it's more demanding. You know, this path is more demanding in that sense that we have to adjust and change something within ourselves. But at the same time, it's really worth doing that because we get the reciprocation, which is much more to what we put in. Krishna always, you know, he's always giving us more than we put in and that we even deserve. Yeah.
No, thank you very much. Actually, it reminds me that I had some points that I wanted to mention. This is the thing, like why you said in a relationship there is you have to adjust, you have to care about what the other person wants, right? So in a way, yes, it is. In a way, it's difficult also, and this is linked to the reason why, even if we see that the personal relationship with God is, at least to me, for example, it makes more sense. But we can ask ourselves then why there are so many impersonalists. Maybe the majority of the world, we can say that they don't really. At least in the Western countries, it's more like impersonalist. So why? And there is there can be different origins, but one we can say is envy, because if we are envious of God, then it's difficult to surrender to God as a person, especially if this God is like beautiful, wealthy, intelligent. He has everything. He's so perfect. Nobody can be above him. And then if you're envious, then you don't want to accept that, right? So that's and envy is within us all. Actually, it's difficult. We are also struggling with this. It can be also fear, like you're not sure, or you cannot trust. And there is this exactly accountability. So you don't want to feel responsible. And this was a bit my case. Like before, I was impersonalist out of kind of laziness, or because my mother is Buddhist and my father is Catholic. So I was like, but all these religions is the same, and actually God is not a person. I was like, but no, God is everywhere in the flowers, and no, you are God, I am God. I was like, this is fine. But I saw that in 10 years I was thinking this, and I made no progress at all. I had some behaviors, some patterns that were not making me happy, and nothing changed. Because actually I didn't feel like responsible, like accountable for my actions. So I was like judging others, getting angry, offending others, and there was no one to relate to, pray to, or be responsible for. So that's why it's difficult to. That's why it's very difficult to because the Ashtanga yogis and the Jnana yogis, they are also. You can see that if they are also realized in the sense that their behavior is also quite. It's peaceful. They wouldn't get angry for. They are very stable in a way, but. Yeah, it's like it's very difficult to do it in this way. So that's. Do you have any comment about this? Like why, if it's clearly from this it looks better to choose bhakti. Why are they impersonalists?
Hare Krishna. Another point that comes to me is the sense of. Depending on an authority outside of ourselves, with the personal aspect of God. And I guess for more people, for a lot of people, it's more tempting. They don't want to accept an authority. And I think one of the reasons is the image that we have of the authority in the material world, like the police, the government, the army, like it's very like restrictions, like don't do this, don't do that. And so if subconsciously we project this image of authority onto God, you know, so it's not attractive. You don't want to surrender to an authority like that, but the reality is we don't know what is the real authority.
I was also thinking about if God is a person, you have to make an effort to have a relationship. It's so easy to not have relationships with people. It's just very easy to ignore people. But if God is a person, we can't ignore him. You know, you really have to endeavor to have a relationship. It's easier if there's, you know, just some impersonal. No, it's not relationship, but you know, impersonal connection. Somehow it's just easier.
So exactly. It's I lost the track of my. I wanted to say exactly. And in Bhakti, what is different from maybe even because Christianity is also a personalist philosophy, but it's lacking this aspect of rasa. Like you can be a lover to God, you can be a friend to God, you can be a parent. You know, there's so many different ways to relate to God, and it's there isn't this. I mean, maybe there can be, because ultimately, you know, Christ is the incarnation of Krishna. He's empowered by Krishna. He's a devotee, so there can be, but it's less emphasized in the practice, at least in the Western countries, isn't it? This authority. So yes, Arjuna is surrendered to Krishna. He's accepting him as an authority, but at the same time, he's still a friend. He still feels like a friend. They are still friends, you know. Even at chapter 12, he's still he's so happy that his friend is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, are there any other points of question? Yeah.
I just have a quick comment. Well, I would say it depends on a case-by-case basis, because I grew up in Christianity and Catholicism, and we are very personalist, but I also would see these people who go to church every Sunday, and they do everything right. All the devotional service looks beautiful from the outside, but then you would sit in church and they would criticize people. Look, they're wearing this, they're wearing that. So to me, it depends on the intention, because I know people who may not go to church every Sunday, but you know, they're volunteering. They do have a direct connection to God as well, and they are serving God just in a very different way, and they don't even have to like show it in front of everyone. So I think it depends on the intention behind your actions.
Thank you so much for bringing this one. This was another point I wanted to make. It's that impersonalist, personalist, it's not about we shouldn't focus on the label. In your talk you focus on label, because when you put a label, it's the same as it means you can be in Krishna consciousness for years and years, and there is still the danger that you are, in a way, you have still impersonal. You are kind of behaving in an impersonal way, because impersonalism means that you are denying that the person in front of you has feelings, so you are denying that God has feelings, is a person. But in a way, we can. So, you know, we are struggling to try to surrender to Krishna. But if we behave, you know, for example, it can happen that when we offend a devotee or anybody, when we offend someone, we can be, kind of cold to the person or anything. And in a way, we are ignoring the feelings of the person. So it's as if the person, it's a person, it's in front of us, but we kind of ignore that. And I can do whatever and say whatever, and so this is impersonalism, and actually there can be so-called, we call them non-devotees, but actually maybe they are wonderful. Like even the Buddhist monks, I've seen that some monks have a very personal way to relate to people. Like like when they talk to you, and it's like somehow I've seen that there is a light in their eyes which is similar to some devotees here. So we can say, thank you. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Shri Radha Gokulananda ki jai. Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai. Gauritai ki jai. You want to sing? Krishna Krishna. No, it's okay. You sing. Sure? Yeah. It's better when we have a bigger kirtan group. Yeah, you sing.
Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Goshoba Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Goshoba
Shiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande
Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine.
Krishna Prasthaya
attending this arati. Now we will offer our respects to the previous acharyas, and so we will fold our hands, or if you can bow down as well. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajak Acharya Ashtatarashat Shishimat, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajak Acharya Ashtatarashat Shishimat, His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki. Vrindavan Dham Ki. Mayapur Dham Ki. Jagat Kshetra Dham Ki. Ganga Mai Ki. Yamuna Mai Ki. Tulsi Maharan Ki. Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. So now we ask everyone to sit down, and we will sing the prayers to Narasimhadev.
are you? Good? Good.